Salute, 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 everybody. It's your boy, Guillermo Kiske, waiting for Sent from Nothing But Knicks. But in the meantime, in between time, as corny as that sound, we're going to get to a few articles on Clutch Points. Again, everybody, please go visit Clutch Points. You can read some great articles, especially on the NBA right now, which I'll be covering. It should be an interesting night tonight, so I'm just going to wait for Sim for a little bit. But in the meantime, of course, you guys get the chat started. We're going to discuss the NBA Finals, which I'm covering tonight at 9 p.m. We're also going to cover some stuff with the Knicks. We're going to cover some stuff that Scottie Pippen said, talk about this LeBron GOAT conversation. You know what I mean? So, again, I'm just waiting for Sim right now, and he should be in any minute. But, yeah, we're going to get started. It should be a good night tonight because got a lot of stuff to talk about in basketball world. Can't talk. But yeah, let me just waiting for Sim right now. What the hell? Sorry, random crap is starting up. I don't know why. But yeah, let me see. Why isn't this allowed to be? Just chilling right now, just waiting for Sim to come in. Let me see, he's not in yet. Oh, Sim is there. What up, Sim?
How you doing? Going on, brother? How you feeling?
Good, man. Nice jacket. Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about tonight, Sim. Of course, tonight is game one of the finals between the Heat and the Lakers. You know, obviously, the Lakers beating the Nuggets. I believe game 5 was it? And the Heat beating the Celtics, I believe, in game 5 as well. You got two teams with two different styles.
Mm-hmm.
This is the series that everybody wants to see LeBron James be established as a so-called GOAT, which, of course, we know that would never happen. But, you know, let's get to it. How do you feel about these finals tonight?
I'm excited for them. I tell you that. I think it's going to be a great series. You got the whole storyline, LeBron James, Eric Spoelstra, Miami Heat, all of that stuff. Not Eric Spoelstra, but Miami Heat. Eric Spoelstra should know his strengths and his weaknesses. Obviously, it's been years, but still, he should know a lot of his strengths, LeBron's strengths and weaknesses. You got Miami. I mean, the two teams on the opposite end, right? You got Miami is a team-oriented, starless. I mean, Jimmy Butler's a star, but he's not a LeBron and AD type of star, right?
Right.
And I'm not speaking as far as play. I'm speaking as far as like name recognition and popularity and that kind of stuff, right? So you got a team-oriented, starless team in Miami, and then you have the star-studded team in LA, right? LeBron James, AD, even Dwight Howard used to be a star. You know what I'm saying?
That's a very
so you got two teams that, kind of got there doing it very different ways, right? LA put a team together like LeBron does, puts the team together to get to the championship. Miami, kind of built this team, built this team through the draft, through free agency. And you got this, Eric Spoelstra's been with Miami since who knows how long, 12, 13 years, whatever it was, maybe longer. I don't know. And well, he's been with Miami since he's been a videographer, right? Since he's been a video guy, breaking down video. And then you got the Lakers who, new coach, new assistant coaches, new GM, for 2 years or something like that. So, you got the battle of the two different, totally, different style of teams, and they were built in different ways. I think it's going to be a great series, though.
I think it's going to be an interesting series because they have two different styles of play.
Mhm.
Obviously, the Lakers, they love the LeBron James dribble up top, pass at guys on perimeter. And the last series, you saw guys step up in a big way. You saw, Rondo stepped up huge. He was making threes in the last game, playing great defense. Um, Kyle Kuzma was hit or miss in some games. AD obviously went off, and so if it's not the high pick and roll, they have the shooters and Danny Green. KCP has probably been, I don't call him an unsung hero, but he's a guy that people haven't really given enough credit to. Um, and then on the flip side, you got a team in the Miami Heat who they could play in a myriad of ways. They don't have the size that the Lakers have, but you have a guy who they're making an important part of the team in Duncan Robinson. He loves that little slide off kind of pass pick play with him and Bam up top for him to hit the 3-pointer, set the tone from the perimeter. Tyler Hero is a guy who has been, fire in certain games, been making some clutch shots, some clutch threes, taking guys off the dribble. You have Jimmy Butler, who's been a jack of all trades at a really high level, dribbling the ball deep into the heart of defenses and making the proper passes to the right guys, being a leader in the fourth quarter, taking the big clutch shots and taking the pressure off of everyone else. Bam Adebayo, undersized, but guys hitting shots. He's bullying down low. Obviously it was against the Celtics, but it's really interesting. I wonder. I think tonight you're going to see a display of the Lakers' zone defense versus the Heat versatility in regards to scoring. I think that the Heat have a better aggression level than the Nuggets. I think. Don't get me wrong. I like the Nuggets a lot, but I think with the Nuggets, I almost think that I won't say they're surprised. I think they kind of gassed out a little bit in that Utah series. Regards to the high level of play, you saw a great defense by Millsap and MPJ and Jeremy Grant in that series, especially like game 5, 6, and game 4 around. But then it kind of slid off against the Lakers. It wasn't as tight. But I think with this Heat team, they have a certain resolve. They could have easily went down, especially when they started to play. When the Celtics, I thought the Celtics was going to bring this back to game 7 because for some reason Jaylen Brown finally turned on the lights and he looked a lot different. But the Heat, again, they just have a different resolve. I don't know what it is, man. It's like you take a bunch of young kids. There's nothing to lose, and I think Jimmy Butler. People have killed, and they killed me. When, they killed a bunch of people when I was saying that he wouldn't have been for the Knicks. And I still don't think he would have been right for the Knicks just because of our makeup and the front office. But that's a perfect situation for Jimmy Butler to be, the second teacher, to be the bulldog on the floor, to be the leader. And basically, from the voice of the owner to Riley to Spoelstra to Jimmy Butler, and everybody falls in line. It's like a wolf pack, if that makes any sense. It's like an army. There's like this subordination. There's rules, there's discipline. They all follow behind Jimmy Butler. That's why look, Duncan Robinson on any other team probably looked like freaking Luke Cornett, a guy who can make threes, but he's not even a player. I'm not even issuing on him because but he's a guy that they've exploited his three. And I've seen Luke Cornett in the G League where I was like, oh crap, this guy might be a big, a big man who could space out the floor. And the Knicks I don't think the Knicks ever really took that level of confidence. They never instilled it like Jimmy Butler did in Duncan. And Tyler Hero, don't get me wrong, I know people, when I watched him at Kentucky, I knew stop it. I love when people love to do that crap. Stop it.
Right.
No one thought because if that was the case, Tyler Hero would have been drafted a lot higher. But again, Jimmy Butler, I believe, and this is what I talk about with the Knicks and point guards. When you draft a point guard fairly high, you bring a guard, we'll give you 1 or 2 guard, whatever it is. Because, Dragic also plays. Dragic, another guy no one talks about. When you have a guy like Jimmy Butler, he can instill that confidence in people. And that's extremely important. When you get guys to play above their normal level of production, that means that player that they're playing with is a plus multiplier. I mean, you've seen all the time. Chris Webber with the Kings. Understanding they lost to the Lakers, but Chris Webber with the Kings, I think he elevated everyone's game. Everybody was surprised because everybody thought the Kings were going to suck. And it's like, oh, crap. This dude's playing out of his mind. He's facilitating. He's defending. He's got the mid-range. He's dunking. He's giving us his life. And you saw everybody kind of elevate their game until, Game 6, 2002 against the Lakers. So I love what I'm seeing. Again, that result that Jimmy Butler's shown, we've seen LeBron James tap out in games and in big clutch games. So I'm very interested to see how this game is. I know people say, "Oh, the Lakers in 5 and 6." Let's see, man. We don't know because, again, and I'll ask you about the keys to the game. but I think that if you can disrupt AD's post-up game, if you can agitate him, throw him off his kilter to get, because again, AD's been going to the line a lot. He's been dominating the post a lot, and a lot of teams have not been able to set the proper double team on him at the right time. You know what I mean? And they allow him, they might set it early. He's able to pass out. They don't do it right when he stops his dribble. They don't crowd around certain angles that allows him to basically turn around and even still draw the foul, as sometimes defenders a little bit too aggressive. So what do you think are the keys to the game for both the Lakers and the Heat?
I think for the Heat is to take one of AD or LeBron away. Right? I don't think you're going to take both of them away, but if you can kind of neutralize one, and that's probably going to be Anthony Davis, right? If you can kind of neutralize one, now you got, all these other guys that the Lakers have to rely on that they're just not, you're not sure, can you rely on everybody to score, and to do things on the floor. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big key for Miami. If you can take one of those guys away, and it's much easier said than done, but if you could take one of those guys away, probably Anthony Davis, bang him around, really make him have to defend Bam, out on the perimeter, make him work, make his legs tired if you can. Now the Lakers have had a lot of rest. Miami just, went through a 7-game series with Boston, while the Lakers had, they had rest before they played Denver. Then they took Denver out, 4-1. So, they've had some rest. They should have good legs, which is definitely a benefit for the Lakers because LeBron is older. You got Rondo that's older. You got some key guys who are older. So that rest probably helps them out a lot. And then for the Lakers, they've got to be able to defend a lot of people, I think, because Miami has a lot of threats that's on the floor. You know what I mean? So I think they've got to be able to defend a lot of people, which they're a really good defensive team. I'm not taking that away from them. They're a great defensive team, really good defensive team. They make a lot of great adjustments during the course of a game, during the course of a series. But still, there's a lot of guys that they have to defend for Miami because of their style of play. They move the ball around. There's not one or two people that's definitely going to be the leading scorers or take all the shots. It's not going to be Jimmy Butler every night taking all the shots. Could be Tyler Hero, could be Bam Adebayo, could be Goran Dragic. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that can score, and the three-point shooting, they've got to defend that three-point line. The Lakers do, and Miami's going to make them work. We'll see if that defense, we'll see if they're ready to defend all these guys and play the type of defense, be able to defend that three-point line. I think those are going to be the keys for those two teams.
I apologize. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. I hope this is not true. My friend just sent me a. Okay. All right.
Uh-oh.
All right. Cool. My friend just sent me something stupid about Westbrook, and it scared me. Hopefully, Adrian Wojnarowski. This guy better be lying, man. What the hell is this?
Uh-oh.
All right, I think this is fake. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just saw a stupid. It has to be a joke. I saw a joke trade of Westbrook for RJ Barrett and 4 first rounders. All right, I'm sorry. That is a stupid.
Yeah, that's definitely a joke trade. It better be a joke trade.
Because I think they spelled the name Wojnarowski wrong on purpose just to make sure that it's a bypass. Right. But yeah, I agree 1,000%. Woo! Right, I'm bad. I'm focused. No, I agree. I think that one thing with Denver was that, I don't think, and I got to look at the percentages, but I don't think that their 3-point percentage or their 3-point shooting, because you also have Crowder, you have Dragic,
Crowder.
You have Tyler Hero, you have Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson likes a lot from the top of the key. Tyler Hero can shoot really well from the wings. I believe also from the corner as well. Got to look at the numbers. But I think that if you can penetrate inside the Lakers defense, because what the Lakers like to do they definitely like to send that 2-man look. Whether if you favor one of the sides, they like to send them at you at a disadvantageous time. So we talked about it with the Blazers, sent them early to stop McCollum and Dame from shooting well. Then against the Rockets, they kind of sent them a little bit late because they know, Harden likes to get in that motion of whatever, and he likes to then step back, and that kind of gives him like a little bit of energy. Jamal Murray, you saw him throw it at him a few times. Well, sometimes early, sometimes a little late. Well, but they definitely like to be aggressive with that 2-man look up top, 2-man look on either side. You call it 3-man look, but obviously the other guy can't really play 3 because he's going to be 3-second violation. So it's basically a 2-man look depending on where you are. But I've seen guys break that, and I've seen guys drive into them. I've seen the Nuggets do it, but then guys like Jeremy Grant, Millsap, they missed some clutch shots. So I think with the Heat, with the way that they shoot the 3 and the way that they could catch fire and the way that their young guys are in 2 and shooting. And the thing about it, we haven't even seen Kendrick Nunn play, really. So that's another wrinkle. If they ever tap into that is another wrinkle they could throw at the Lakers. They're struggling for points. They're struggling for somebody to create the shot. Now, he hasn't played enough games where I feel confident where it's like, all right, you put him, obviously they're probably going to play guys like Iguodala more, who's been hitting a few threes this postseason. No one talks about it. He still played decent defense. But, the Heat have, I think
he needs to cut his hair, though. But,
Sorry, go ahead.
I said he needs to cut his hair, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. It looks.
He's got to do something.
Looks, man. I don't know. Some of these guys kind of look like wise. I don't know what's up with that crap. But let's continue with this so-called Laker narrative. Now, you got people, and obviously we know that, allegedly the media, they have some Lebronites, whatever you want to call them, who do his bidding. And, there are people who are trying to put out this notion that if LeBron wins this championship, he will be put into the upper echelon of players and be considered the GOAT or in the GOAT conversation. Now, I'm going to get to why I don't think he's a GOAT, but I want to get to more. I want to ask you, because you're going to come from a more civilized standpoint as to why LeBron James is not the GOAT. Let me not assume you say that, but since you're a sensible person, I'm assuming you're going to say that, but let me ask, what is your opinion on LeBron James being a GOAT? Is he
the greatest? I mean, in my mind, Michael Jordan is the greatest. That's just that. He's not touching Michael Jordan. I can't put him there. He's not touching Michael Jordan. Six times in the NBA Finals. He went 6 for 6. He's just not touching Michael Jordan. Now, he's going to have an argument, I think, right? Because if he wins, first of all, he's been to the NBA Finals with 4 different teams, right? Cleveland, Miami. Well, 3 different teams. Hold up. Yeah, 3 different teams.
Miami and Lakers. Yeah.
Cleveland, Miami, Lakers. So he's been to the finals with 3 different teams. If he wins it, he would have won the NBA championship with 3 different teams. But it's not even that he's been there with 3 different teams. It's that each one of those teams that he went to were not title contenders. And he was able to turn them into a title contender, obviously, by bringing people along with him.
Excuse me. Wait, the Heat weren't going to be title? Because the Heat is hard to judge just because.
They were title contenders before he got there?
Well, I mean, he came with him and Bosh.
Well, yeah, I mean, he came with him and Bosh.
It's kind of hard to judge. Obviously,
right.
You can't play hypothetical. But that Heat team, they were going to the playoffs. I mean, they were going to. But Dwayne Wade was still taking that team post-Shaq to the playoffs. Now, if you had Bosh and you had all those other shooters, I think they contend. Now, obviously, Ray Allen is Celtics, whatever. But to me, this is why LeBron James is not the GOAT. He can't be considered the GOAT, one, because this season, I mean, it was all over the place this season. I think even if the Heat win this, I'm not going to count this as some great championship. There's going to be an asterisk. And that's not to take away from anybody. I think the players themselves, in terms of trying to come back, be in shape, blah, blah, I give them that credit. That's pretty admirable because a lot of people, you come back, try to force yourself into game shape. You could rip your hamstring, tear your Achilles out stuff. So salute to all these guys doing that. But this ain't the same as a normal West Ham. So I got to take that into account. Second of all, you lost to the Mavericks in 2011. Now, I'm not a Michael Jordan fan because I hated him growing up. But whenever I saw Michael Jordan, there was a sense of dread because we knew how great he was. We felt like he was a video game character that was an unbeatable boss, like one of these hokey, you got to go through this little maze to fight this special boss, but you can never beat him. I've seen Michael Jordan. Knicks would be up 5 minutes, left to go, up by 6. And there's a dread in my stomach, and I'm like, I know this doesn't feel good. And Michael Jordan will come back, elbow, 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 dunk, layup, blah, 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 kill us. Michael Jordan, with regards to his dominance in the finals, I mean, the only finals you could sit here and say that he probably should have won the MVP was 96 because Dennis Rodman should have arguably won that because of his defensive prowess, his rebounding. I mean, it was second to none. I think Scottie Pippen kind of wasn't that great in that finals, I remember. I'm not sure if that's not the one with the spaz, but I know he had an issue with his back, I believe, against the Supersonics, if I recall. But you could argue that if you're that dominant in the finals, first of all, Michael Jordan is also the guy who changed the paradigm in the NBA in regards to wing players. He, not say he destroyed the big man era, but he made wing players. He made guards to consider, oh, we can build with this guy. Now, back in the days, Brad Daughtry, Ewing, Olajuwon, Mourning, it was an era of big men. It's like Greek mythology with all these titans. It's like the era of the titans. And you bring in this normal looking guard who comes in and he's a god amongst men. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan, to me, you can't surpass him when literally 2 of your championships, let's be honest, were relatively fortunate. You win a finals against the Spurs. If Tim Duncan's in there, I mean, Ray Allen could have been seen as the so-called guy to save you, because if you look at some of those games, LeBron James would fade away here and there. He wasn't this uber dominant player. If you look at not the Spurs, then you look at the Cavaliers finals. Draymond Green kicks somebody, he's an idiot. They up 3-2 or whatever, kicks a guy in a group, or kicks or whatever, gets out of there. Andrew Bogut's out. And fair enough, the Warriors also, when the Warriors beat the Cavaliers had injuries to their players too. So it goes both ways, right? But to me, LeBron James, every time I look at his finals, first of all, he's also playing with stacked teams. Every time we talk about Jordan, oh, you play with Scottie Pippen, but bro, you play with Kyrie, you played with Chris Bosh, you played with Dwayne Wade, you still played with a sharpshooter in Ray Allen. You played with AD. You played with a lot. I'm not even talking about second-tier players. I'm not talking about Rondo coming in defending. I'm not talking about Kuzma. I'm not talking about Danny Green. I'm not talking about Shane Batty. I'm not talking about Mike Miller. I'm not talking about all these. Even Mario Chalmers. Say what you want. Mario Chalmers hit some big shots, big threes. You've played, and even your year with 2007 when you played with the Cavaliers, to the finals, you got swept. Your team was a #1 defensive team in the league. That's nothing to sneeze at. We can say, oh, they have an offense. We're gonna say, but you're the #1 defensive team. So I'm just saying, you have all these caveats too. Mind you, LeBron James is first ballot Hall of Fame, one of the greatest players I've seen. He's not one of my favorite players, but I would never sit and deny his greatness. But to be considered the GOAT when you have so many, your only dominant performance was that one against OKC. And people want to say and argue that those guys were young. Hey, you're in the NBA, get to the finals, you're a grown man. So I'm not taking that OKC finals away from him. And that OKC finals, I'll give him extra credit because that was when he went to Olajuwon and added the post game to his game. He mollywopped the OKC Thunder with that post game, with that post up game. But I can't sit here and call LeBron James a GOAT. I can't. After seeing
I can't call him a GOAT either.
I feel like I'm a Knicks fan through and through. I hated Jordan with all my guts. I'm not one of these people. We know as Knicks fans, we hated Jordan. When John Starks dunked on Jordan, and I forgot what it was, that was one of the greatest Knick moments of our lives. But when I saw Jordan play, you couldn't deny it. Every Jordan has so many iconic moments in clutch spots. You know what I mean? LeBron James' most clutch moment is the block he had on Iguodala. Jordan literally had one of the greatest plays in all of NBA, one of the great sequences. Stole the ball from Karl Malone and hit that shot to win the game, not tie it up, not to win the game. I can't. And Jordan did the dunk contest. I feel like if you're going to play stuff right, you have to have almost like a cartoonish iconography about yourself where it's like, oh man, when Jordan did the dunk contest with the chain and he brought he made Nikes, blah blah. I don't feel these paradigm shifts with LeBron James. Now, LeBron James is one of the greatest players of all time, but how many guys won during LeBron James' era? There are a few guys that won in LeBron James' era. We can see how many dynasties have been destroyed because of Jordan. The Knicks should have won one. Magic should have won one after they lost to the Rockets and came back. The freaking Supersonics. I remember in '96, everybody was talking about Seattle Supersonics. Detlef Schrempf, Sam Perkins, what's this guy's name? Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. That's, bro, one of the coolest teams, one of the best teams I've ever seen in my life. Gary Payton was one of my favorite players. Utah Jazz, till this day, Phil Jackson said, and this is after 98, Phil Jackson said, I do not want to face the Utah Jazz because they were one of the smartest teams to play in the playoffs. Every time we played them, this is the Lakers, like 98, 99, or 99, 2000, before the Lakers won that championship. So whoever it was, he said, I don't want to face the Utah Jazz because they're annoying and they're smart and they always beat us with sound play and good defense. This is with Shaq and Kobe. So Jordan is like he's like a Viking warlord with a bunch of cut off heads that he just stashed and says, I stopped this dude. He jokes with Patrick Ewing to this day about Patrick Ewing never winning one. And Patrick was the greatest players of all time. So to me, I can never see LeBron James being a GOAT. Not over Jordan. Not over. No. I don't want to say Bill Russell, but you also have to take into account Magic, Kareem, Bill Russell.
He's gonna. I mean, he's gonna be in the conversation with those guys. In my mind, he'll never take over Michael Jordan as the GOAT. But to go to 10 finals, I mean, there's been in the last 10, 11 years, there's only one finals that he hasn't been in. I mean, he hasn't won all of them, of course, but that's a feat by itself. I mean, he's been in the East. East has been weak, but I mean, and when you talk about making a paradigm shift, not as far as gameplay, he didn't make a paradigm shift, but he definitely changed the way players approach their business in the NBA. He kind of created the whole player empowerment type of thing. Definitely. He kind of created that with, first going to Miami, the way that he did and helped put that team together in Miami. And then when he left Miami and went back to Cleveland, and he said, well, I'm only going to go, I'll do 2 years, 1 year guaranteed, and then 1 year with a player option, right? To make sure that he kept Cleveland on their toes, right? To make sure that they're putting players around him, building around them, and doing those type of things. He definitely shifted that. I was just having this conversation with, I don't remember. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about LeBron. And I mean, even till today, and it's evident with the Los Angeles Lakers and, the whole thing with Clutch Sports, he controls the NBA. It's ridiculous. He controls the NBA. Yes. Wherever he goes, I mean, he basically, his name may not be on the paperwork, but he basically owns a freaking sports agency
with
that signs NBA players.
Biggest conflict of interest I've seen in years, and no one touches it.
No one.
They literally stopped Marcus Morris from going to the Clippers earlier with a bigger deal, 3 years, $45 million, I believe, just because Rich Paul didn't want him contending against LeBron James. And
it's crazy.
I'm still going to say absolutely anything.
Nothing.
It is just
nothing.
So I don't know, man. They are trying to make LeBron James, this big figure. I feel like it's a little artificial when you have to get clowns in the media to forcefully say, oh, yeah, he's the GOAT, despite the fact they have Twitter posts saying that he wasn't. And then all of a sudden, everybody's a LeBron James fan. But it will be interesting tonight. I can't put him in a GOAT conversation. They talk about his school, which I think is great. They talk about all these philanthropy. That's great. Philanthropy, God bless you. On the court, that's what I'm focused on. I call you the GOAT. Everything else, salute to you. God bless you. I think even one of the most underrated things, even though I think dunking at your son's school is a little attention, mongering.
Yeah, that was cool.
LeBron James, for what he grew up under, his mom and all the being out of school 90 days and being stressed out and all that stuff, not having a fun. I think he's done an amazing job as a young black man. So I never take that away. But on the court, you ain't the GOAT. I ain't calling you.
He's not the GOAT.
Nah, he ain't no GOAT.
He's not the GOAT.
On to some Nick news, since I have to find anything Nick related, and it does, and I believe you probably spoke about this on your last show, but just to get to some Nick news. So, I'm going to get to three things. I'm going to get some RJ Hampton. I'm going to get to some Danny Avdija and some Tyler Hero. So Tyler Hero said this about Kenny Payne. He said, KP was like, and not Kristaps Porzingis, who's marked, but KP was like a father figure to me. He's a great leader in his own way. He's going to try to bring the best out of you. I'm really happy for him and happy that he got the job. Now, obviously, Kenny Payne and Tyler Hero both at Kentucky. And Kentucky is more known as like a, warehouse not warehouse, but a factory for pumping out NBA product. I don't know necessarily what he said to Tyler Hero. Was it to improve his game? Was it to give him the confidence and say, hey, you don't need to be here second year, go out, whatever, go to the NBA? Because I know Calipari has done that in the past with certain players where it's like they try to come back like, oh, I'm not sure. He's like, no, go. Like, trust me. Which is great on Calipari's part. But how do you feel about Kenny Payne on the Knicks? What do you think that he will bring mentor coaching-wise? And who do you think will be the biggest beneficiary of it? I already have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but who do you think will be the beneficiary?
I think probably the biggest beneficiary is going to be Kevin Knox, right? He's probably going to be the biggest beneficiary because he's, he probably needs someone that he feels like he knows is definitely in his corner. Not that I'm not saying that Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau, he doesn't feel that way, but having someone that given the situation that he's in, he knows this is a big year for him, and that is he needs to prove himself as an NBA player. And to have someone like that in his corner, someone that he's been around before, spent a year with, probably helped to recruit him to Kentucky. I think he's going to benefit the most. I think I think RJ Barrett's going to benefit from him as well because he's coming out of college into the NBA. It's his second year. But I think RJ Barrett will benefit from having someone that's coming from the college ranks and kind of has, still has a college mindset a little bit, is used to working with young players, right? I think that's a big thing. We talked about this a long time ago on the show, right? That so many players come into the league young that it may behoove some of these teams to have coaches that come up from the high school ranks or come up from the college ranks, a lot more of these coaches because they can relate to the younger kid, to these younger players, right? And not just relate as far as music and language and stuff like that, but just they've been around young players. You know what I'm saying? So they know how to work with young players, where someone like Tom Thibodeau, he's been in the NBA. He's working with guys who's getting paid millions. Obviously, RJ Barrett's getting paid millions, but he's working with guys who's getting paid, been working for years with guys who's getting paid millions, and he's just more used to this professional, the way it is in the pros, where you got guys coming up from college who aren't used to it. And, here's a coach, he may not be totally used to the NBA, but he can relate to these guys a little bit better, and understand what a young guy might be going through. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think RJ Barrett can benefit from this guy as well. Other young guys that's on the team, new draft pick coming in, will probably benefit, because he's coming up from the college ranks with them. You know what I'm saying? So I think guys like that will definitely benefit. And then, Julius Randle obviously knows him. We'll see how much he benefits from it, but he's been in the league for a while. Maybe that's someone he feels like is in his corner, but I think it's going to be mostly the young guys who he can relate to because he was a college coach and knows how to work with young kids. I think it's going to be those type of guys. Kevin Knox, RJ Barrett. Frank Ntilikina has been in the league for a little while. He's still a young guy, but he's been in the league for a little while. Dennis Smith Jr. has been in the league for a little while. Any other rookies that come up, I think they'll benefit from having Kenny Payne around.
I agree. I think that I like what the Knicks are doing in regards to, they're building the coaching bridge, the emotional, psychological bridge with a lot of these coaches. Because it's not like, I mean, I don't know exactly what these guys actually specialize in. You're not bringing a whole bunch of specialists to work on your shot and stuff. Obviously you see them working on their shots and stuff in the court, but what you again, a lot of this game, you're talking about kids. So
Yeah.
who are being pushed to be, relatively speaking, within the basketball world, being pushed to be grown men. I mean, some guys are after the first year, you're a vet. You're technically a vet. So, and they look at you, hey, if you're not producing by year 3, go overseas, go find yourself, and then try to come back here. And then by the time you try to come back here, you could be 28, 29. So I agree with you. But I like what they're doing with Tom Thibodeau, where you can get guys who can, Tom Thibodeau, he's an X and O guy. He's a tactician. He's from that old school mold. I wouldn't say George Karl. Obviously, there's a spectrum of George Karl and whoever be purely a psychological coach. And George Karl is just all about X and O's, and I think Tom Thibodeau comes more of that side of the spectrum. And I think again, a guy like Kenny Payne, you got a lot of UK, or you got a few UK guys who are just out of college. Again, RJ Barrett. One thing is his whole start. I think RJ Barrett would be fine. He's the type of guy who just throw him to the fire. He loves that type of aggression. He loves going to the basket. He loves cutting through the deep. He likes that the defense. He likes that type of stuff. I think it's more so, like you said, for Kevin Knox, even Julius Randle. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of Julius Randle, but if you can make Julius Randle commit himself to defense, commit himself to making the right pass and thinking on basketball outside of just individual stats, whatever production you get from him, that's not his norm. And again, Julius Randle, if he could become a guy who increases endurance and stamina, plays better defense, that's more so from Kenny Payne trying to speak to him about the greater good of the team and how it affects rookies and this guy and this young guy, and how you being as that type of guy, yes, you have the bigger contract, you may not be seen as a leader, but if you can feed into what the coach is buying, maybe guys might fall under you. All right, we follow this guy, Julius Randle, who has a big contract, but he's not looking to score every time he comes down the court. He's looking to facilitate. He's doing all the dirty work. You know what I mean? And sometimes guys it's like, yo, he's a selfless leader. And a lot of guys, Jimmy Butler, for instance, you call him a selfless leader. This guy sells himself out on defense all the time. This guy is looking to pass. He's not even looking to score. Not say he doesn't try to score, but again, when he played the Knicks, he had 9 points that whole game. And what was he doing the whole game? Feeding to Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, feeding to all the younger guys. And these younger guys who is like, well, Butler has a big contract. He'd be trying to take all the shots and make. It's like, oh crap, he's doing this to make us better. And some guys they appreciate that. So if Kenny Payne could get that to some of these veterans like Julius Randle, I'm all for it. But let's go to I guess the next topic will be your boy RJ Hampton, who you did speak about in the last episode, I believe. And RJ Hampton spoke about interviewing the Knicks, and he said, "I definitely think that I bring that fast-paced, energized guard. I can attack, get my teammates involved, and be a pest on defense." Unfortunately, that wasn't the case in New Zealand, as you brought up. I believe his stats in New Zealand was around 8.8 points, 3.8 rebounds, 2.4 assists in 15 NBL games. He shot 40.7% from the field, 29.5% from arc. And he had the hip injury, which is not the greatest injuries to have. Obviously, Isaiah Thomas had the hip injury. Where do you see RJ Hampton falling in this draft? And do you think the Knicks should take a flyer on him? Say if he goes at, I know people say, oh, he's not going to last at 27. We don't know how this draft is going to end up. But
right,
if he were to end up at 27, because I know people say, well, MPJ did have back issues, but MPJ as an overall scorer in the 2 games he played in college, right, he was still more impressive than RJ Hampton basketball. RJ Hampton has the athleticism, the explosion, but obviously if your hip is not fine, you're not going to see that. So what are his basketball skills that you can see? You know what I mean? So where do you see him fall in the draft, and should the Knicks take a flyer on him?
I think that he's going to go low in the draft, somewhere between 20 and 27. So he could be there for the Knicks to jump in. And I think if he's there at 27, and like you said, nobody knows what's going to happen in this draft, right? You can't predict. You can't say this player is definitely not going to be there at 27 because you just don't know. And I think there might be a lot of moves in this draft as well. So if he was there at 27, I'd take a flyer on him. Yeah, even if I got a point guard earlier in the draft, I still might take a flyer on him if he's there at 27. Because I don't think that Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be around long term, right? So even if we get a point guard, Frank Ntilikina is probably going to be more of a Swiss Army knife type of guy moving forward, I think. Although, he can run point guard from time to time, but he'll probably be a Swiss Army knife type of guy. So you still might need another point guard on the team, moving forward into the future. And someone like RJ Hampton, he has a lot of talent. He has speed. He has a lot of skill. He's got some decent court vision. He's small. He's young. He's got a lot of game to build. He could be the kind of guy, if you did get him at 27, that you say, well, maybe in a couple of years, he's a project for a couple of years, and maybe in a couple of years, we have a competition at the point guard spot. Maybe he's ready to, we'll see what he does. Coming out of high school, he was heavily recruited. He was a highly recruited kid. I'd take a flyer on him. Now, if I can't think of the kid's name, if RJ Hampton and can't think of his name right now. What's his name is there at the same time? I'm not sure who I go with.
You're talking about Kara Lewis.
I'm talking about Jaden McDaniels. Hampton and Jaden McDaniels are there at the same time. I probably go with Jaden McDaniels if they're both there at the same time. But
Jaden McDaniels is definitely one that's intriguing. Everyone compares him to KD. I believe his efficiency at Washington wasn't that great, but I think everybody sees the potential. Obviously, also I think motor was one of his weaknesses as well, which is not a good thing. But I don't think it was like attitude motor. I just think that they kind of expect a little bit more from him. And he does have some wrinkles he has to fix in his game. RJ Hampton, again, guys, when we talk about guards, we get so mad at DSJ, we get mad at Frank, we get RJ Hampton, with regards to a lot of these guards and how they're developed. I mean, Sim could talk to, obviously, because he coaches, but a lot of the way these guards are developed at the lower stages is just not the quintessential or the prototypical guard development. When CP3 retires, I think that's probably the last we're going to see a type of, in that type of guard or that mold for years. A lot of these guards are being developed. It's, can he cut to the basket, explosion, blah, blah. And they create more of the facilitation, not through thinking, not through calling certain plays, calling certain guys to come and set the pick and get this guy open. It's more so through drive to the heart of the core of the defense, core of the paint, and then pass out to the guy on perimeter. Use your explosion, your athleticism to create facilitation. So if you don't have a top-notch athletic guard who can do that plus score to keep defenses honest, you're going to run into a lot of guys who are similar to RJ Hampton. Now, obviously, you have some caveats. You have some guys who, Ja Morant, who I think is smart, plus he's explosive. But look at, he got taken number 2. And if it wasn't for Zion, it would obviously been taken number 1. Those guys are rare. And even to this day, Ja Morant still initiates a lot of his facilitation from his explosion. So he's going to have to learn how to process the NBA game a lot better if he wants to take it to the next level. I think he's going to do because he's just that good of a player, I think. But RJ Hampton is going to run to those situations where he's not that adept of a scorer, so he can't keep you honest. He can't, catch you on the hip and all this other stuff because, I'm scared that he might shoot and I'm also scared he might pass. You can kind of tell where his game is going once he puts the ball on the ground. So he's going to have the same – we're going to have the same developmental woes that we have with DSJ, who builds a lot of his facilitation off of what? Athleticism. And obviously you saw him with the back issue. He wasn't the same once he came back with that – or once he had the back issue. Once he came back, he was a bit healthier, then he looked better. But again, facilitation off of athleticism is not dependable. It's not always dependable, let me say. Frank, we see the same thing. I mean, Frank is more of a processor, but, it's on the opposite side. He's missing that aggression, right? He doesn't have that prototypical speed and explosion like a lot of these guards have. So I'm just saying that we take RJ Hampton late. I just hope that people aren't like, oh, yeah, he's the guard of future. Because, look, we did last summer during the summer league. Oh, yo, we got DSJ. He's going to be the guard of future. Oh, FIBA Frank, yo, that's our guard of future. It's like, all right. Then you see the NBA games is not our expectation because the developmental pattern, especially last year, Fizdale and Mike Miller, it just wasn't there. So I'm just saying, if you take these guys, please be patient. Don't put the extra pressure. They need development, and I think we have the right development guys in play now, but we have to be patient. But, I guess to our last topic, and that'll be your boy
You
Den.
just one quick thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I guess you're still on the Knicks, but you were talking about Russell Westbrook earlier, right?
I'm an idiot because you can't even trade now. But continue. My bad.
You can't trade now, right? But I'm reading headlines. I'm not going to mention the publication, but I'm reading headlines. It says potential trade lingers over prospects Knicks draft argument. Then it says Tyrese Halliburton makes Knicks NBA draft case as potential trade lingers. What trade lingers?
None. I heard about as soon as the LaMelo thing came up. Oh, there's rumors that they're going to trade. It's like dogs. Smart basketball teams, they throw smoke signals everywhere. First of all, smart teams, period. I've seen it where Bill Belichick would interview some kid that he knows he's not going to get. And that's only just to throw you off of the person they really want. So all this stuff about, Tyrese Halliburton, he interviewed, it's like, guys, and Tyrese Halliburton only interviewed with 3 teams so far and stuff. It's like, guys, look, there are going to be a lot of smoke screens. We have no idea what's happening. And I'm actually happy that we have no idea. We don't have any leaks.
Right.
We don't have any concrete evidence. A lot of publications, I understand, look, it's slow right now. But you lose some integrity coming out with all these rumors and all these things that have no trace.
Yeah.
They make no sense. It's just
all of these interviews came before the lottery.
So there's no so there's nothing there, right? I mean, it came before the lottery. No one knew. Again, we don't know what. I think God, we don't know what the Knicks are doing. Salute to that Knicks front office. These guys are picking at nothing. They're trying to find as many leaks and all that stuff. I love it. So we'll see. As we get closer to the draft, obviously, I think they're gonna have workouts or do something. We're probably still not going to get any color. We can only hypothesize. I saw, if Obi Toppin is there, I've heard rumors that I'm like, first of all, for people to say Obi Toppin, now you just if Obi Toppin's taking by the Knicks, that'll be the biggest surprise. But Obi Toppin is not a tips guy, cannot play defense, is older, probably harder to mold. I'm not sure that's even, but it's like people just pulling at strings. But it is what it is, a dead NBA season until, the finals, but still dead, kind of deadish. But, we'll see. But I get your boy, Danny Avdija. Now people are trying to kill Danny Avdija for what he said on social media, which was that they were asking about teams he spoke to, and he brought up the Knicks being a team. And people like, I'm taking it back. And even I commented on Twitter. I was like, well, he's probably kind of following the Luka hype, which I believe. I think he is somewhat hyped up from the Luka train. But I didn't really insult him or anything. And people were like, he's dissing Knicks. But then right after that, he said, well, the Knicks are a young organization, blah, blah. Now, 2 things. One, if you're a foreign player, I give you the benefit of doubt that sometimes, language barrier, right? You may not know. You may try to say, yes, they're another organization that I talked to. And he just said, yes, they're an organization. 2, if his agents are saying, hey, do not give any color, just if they ask you about any team, just say, hey, they're an organization, they're blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? If people are going on hyped up and getting mad at him, how do you feel about, this Danny Avdija thing? And do you think the Knicks would take Danny Avdija if he lasted at 8?
So they're getting mad because he said, yes, they're an organization.
Right. When they brought up the Knicks, he didn't say, the Knicks, in the 70s, they wanted to. He wasn't like being effusive about it. He wasn't like praising them. You know what I mean? He's just like, they're an organization. But he also, right after he said, yes, they're a young organization, blah, 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 blah. Like, he didn't say anything really.
Yeah. I don't take anything into it, especially, like you said, when a guy, I listen to, just listening to guys do post-game interviews, right? Mm-hmm. And the way that they say some things is just different than the way that we might say here in the U.S. And sometimes it just sounds different. And because it has to do with the conjugation of verbs and all kinds of wild stuff, right? So the way that they say things in different languages when they translate it to English is just different, and everything from their body language to the aggressiveness and how they speak, it's just different. So I really don't take anything unless, the words are so clear, like the Knicks suck. I don't want to go there. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I don't take anything away from it. And would they, if he's there at 8, would they take a chance on him? I don't know.
This happens. We gotta be. It's like the European game is a big gamble, man. You don't want to miss out on Dirk. You don't want to miss out on the KPs. You don't want to miss out on the Lucas. But there's so many European players that they follow. Oh, that same mode. Oh, he's the greatest. Jan Veasley, Drogen Bender, and they don't pan out. And I've seen some second round guys. You've seen the Ginobilis. I believe Goran Dragic was second round, if I remember. Maybe it was undrafted. I don't remember. I don't think he was a first rounder. You know what I mean? I think that you have to be resolute in your scouting. You can't follow I don't want to miss out because that might be the next KP, the next Luka. We have to be careful. And again, I comment on social media that he wasn't Luka because I just don't like when people hype up some of these European players and they just become bust. We had the guy who Vince Carter dunked on that we drafted.
Right.
So I'm scoring by European players. But then KP kind of helped us, but then I was kind of scoring by that too when the whole issue. And Mark, I understand. I'm not going to bring that up before you kill us. But, it is what it is with Danny. Hopefully Knicks are resolute. If they pick him, hopefully, he's a guy they build around. We have patience around because I've seen guys like Rudy Fernandez get drafted by the Blazers and, patience and, Nate McMillan and, lack of real, where's he going to be, kind of, I think, weaken him. You could say he was overrated or whatever, but when I saw him play with Spain, he almost destroyed us. I still remember that team. Him, Travis Outlaw, I believe, goodness gracious, the point guard for Washington. Now I'm forgetting. The one who had the knee injury. Not Dame. Before Dame. He was on the Blazers. He had the knee injury. Brandon Roy.
Brandon Roy, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope that we are patient with some of these players and stuff. But, we'll see. Right now, there's a lot of noise right now. But, I guess, we'll see. But
I'm upset that the draft is not until November now because things would really be picking up, right? We and now we got to wait a whole another month and a half before we can. And then who knows? It still might be pushed back.
Yeah. Yeah, it
still might be pushed back.
I still think they need to have games or something. I think you're talking about like a scouting combine, but man, this draft is going to be a crapshoot, man. So whatever scouting you did, because then again, you also include high school scouting, which high school game is just different. It's not college, man. Guys get featured like Jordan and LeBron in high school, and then when they get to the college ranks, it's different. Then when they get to NBA, it could be totally different. I remember Monk. If you go watch Monk's highlights, what's this guy's name? Monk from Charlotte Hornets. Go watch his highlights in high school, and you're gonna sit here and tell me, and you watch what he is in NBA. I'm not saying he can't improve, but somewhere along the road, he definitely took I don't give a F.
Right.
And he's just now a space shooter. Because I saw him in high school, I said, "Yo, who the hell is this guy?" Not say I saw him in high school. I saw highlights of him. I'm like, that can't be a player. So Malik Monk, thank you. I forgot the first name. So, it is what it is. But hey, this was a good episode. Sorry, I'm not trying to rush, but I'm covering the latest.
Yeah. It's about time. It's 8:55. The game is on ABC as well, right?
It's on ABC. Definitely, if you guys can check it out with me or whatever, it'll be nice to see you guys. But again, we'll be doing this. I'm having another episode tomorrow with Sim. It's not my episode. It's our episode for Clutch Points. And this will be before the Jets game. So hopefully you guys can join me for the Jets game. It's going to be terrible. I'm definitely going to be drinking. I don't even like beer like that, but I'm going to be drinking tomorrow just to be angry. So hopefully you guys can join me. You talk trash about my Jets, all welcome. But again, guys, all you guys already sub to NBK. But I'll tell you guys, please sub to Little Brother, Big Brother. You know what I mean? If you guys are NBK and you like other sports, I know most of you guys love football. Go subscribe to Little Brother, Big Brother. Go subscribe to Front Stoop. Get involved with Sim's other channels. It doesn't cost you any money. It's the most laziest contribution you could ever make in your life. It is easiest, let me say.
Right.
Literally, you go online. You guys have looked for worse things. Go online. Big brother, little brother, Giants, Sim, whatever. Click subscribe.
Yeah, man.
That's all you gotta do.
Do you have a prediction for the series?
If Jimmy Butler, look, I've given names to guys like Jamal Murray. I called him Young Vegeta. I called Donovan Mitchell Young Goku, man. Jimmy Butler gives me a different energy, man. He gives me like a weird, like evil, but in a good way energy. Like, I think this goes to 7.
I think
I'm
it's
not going to call who's going to win, but I think this goes. The Heat have a young, focused team. When they play defense, now obviously there have been lapses when they lost to Celtics a few games here and there. When they play defense, it is like they enjoy playing defense. Like, live off of it. They remind me of the old Celtics that won that championship. You had Rondo, Garnett, and Allen. All these, you had not just those guys. You had James Posey. You had Tony Allen, who people forget. Those guys relish defense. Like, it was because they weren't the most skilled. James Posey was a 3-and-D player. Tony Allen was like a guard who wasn't the most offensive, but defense was their calling card. And I feel that same energy with this Heat team. Now, obviously, Duncan Robinson's not a good defender, but Bam, Iguodala, Jimmy Butler, Ty Hero, you see him being scrappy here and there. I think it's – and even Goran Dragic at times, I just think that this is a Game 7. I think Jimmy Butler wants to kill LeBron. Jimmy Butler is a guy – he wants crowns. He's a killer.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, man. I mean, I think it's going Game 7. I'm going with the Lakers in 7.
I'm not calling it.
But it's. I mean, once you get to a Game 7, then it's anybody's game, right? It's anybody's. I wouldn't put it past Miami to take tonight's game.
Whoa.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them to take tonight's game.
That's a vote. So everybody, if Sim gets this wrong, so you got Julius Randle, you got Knox, and you got this series. You got a trifecta of things that you guys control Sim on. But
right.
This has been fun. I'm gonna try to dig up some more articles tomorrow. We might dive into some Giant stuff. Might dive into whatever it may be. But definitely gonna find some other stuff for you guys to come and join us for tomorrow. But salute to Sim, salute to NBK, Front Stoops.
Appreciate you, man.
Everybody who has channels out there. Obviously, the Tri Burrows, Isaiah, Andy N on Sportscaster. Salute to all you guys, man. God bless, and we'll see you here tomorrow. Peace.
Peace.
Oh, yeah, if you guys can join me for the game tonight. It's about to start in like a minute. So if you guys have time, I know you guys got to go to sleep and take care of the children and family. If you join me for a few minutes, that would be cool. If you can't, salute to that too. But God bless. Hope to see you there. Peace.